Presiding Officer, I and my party have long believed that education can be a great leveller, spreading opportunity for all, and that it should be built on the values of opportunity and ambition, of high aspiration and standards for every child that passes through the school gates in any school in any part of our country. But we know that it won't do that by accident. It only happens by design. I and my party brought this debate today because we're worried that we face systemic challenges in education that could hold back our potential. Since I became Scottish Labour spokesperson on education, I found that no matter what stone I turn over or what corner I look around, there are deep and wide-ranging challenges, despite the best efforts of our outstanding teachers, the hard work of our pupils and the tenacity of our parents. There is a quote in the National Discussion Report from a teacher that has stuck with me and sums the challenges up well, and it's this. In my class of 30, 4 have ASD, 3 have long-standing anxiety difficulties, 1 has been adopted, 1 is experiencing a form of trauma, 1 is a young carer, 2 others have severe learning difficulties. There is only 1 of me. I can't give those children enough of my attention to support their well-being, never mind their and the other children's learning needs. I know exactly what support each child needs, but can't split myself 30 ways. That quote not only sums up the complexities our teachers face, but also shines a light on why classrooms are becoming a bit like pressure cookers. With concerns bubbling up, they are vulnerable to overflow. And the result is behavioural concern, teachers at the end of their tether, and yes, now, declining standards in education. We have to address all of this if we're to rebuild our education system and spread opportunity for all. Back in December, I was grateful to the Cabinet Secretary for finally recognising that standards are slipping, but it shouldn't have taken Scotland falling behind our neighbours and our international peers for this government to take action. For too long, pupils, teachers and parents have seen a very different reality to the picture their government has painted. This disconnect has left them wondering why their government isn't listening and why promises made on contact time, free breakfast for primary school pupils, which ensure they are starting the day fed and ready to learn, remain undelivered. They're watching in anticipation of what we, their representatives and the government, will do to give them the education system they want and deserve, to make classrooms safe, nurturing, conducive environments that they should be, and ensure children are in those classrooms. They're looking for leadership, not just to address the decline in academic performance, but in pupil engagement too. Parents, teachers and unions recognise, as I do, that we must view challenges not in isolation, but as interconnected parts that have a cause and effect relationship that demand our urgent attention. The EIS Stand Up for Quality Education campaign is a fantastic example of an interconnected and systemic approach to delivering the education we need. The first issue it raises is teacher workload, a concern that will resonate with all working across our education system. Teachers are the architects of our children's futures, the backbone in the system that we need at its best if we're to achieve our goal of opportunity for all. But right now they're overburdened by excessive workload, stretched across competing demands and tangled up in bureaucracy, all hindering their ability to deliver the quality education that they got into the profession to provide. The solution lies in concrete measures to alleviate these burdens, including the promised increase in non-contact time to provide teachers the breathing space they need. So I repeat my ask to the Government today on when it will be delivered. It's not just the conditions that are difficult, it's the issue. The issue is also compounded with continued use of temporary teaching contracts. 5,000 of our teachers are without stable permanent positions, facing insecurity. It's no wonder then that teacher numbers are down in secondary school when we need them on the rise, and the number of teachers still teaching after their first year has dropped from where it was 5 years ago. And this is a self-perpetuating cycle created by government inaction. Reduce teacher numbers, make it more difficult to deliver on the promise of non-contact time. And the shortages are not felt equally. Some areas and subjects are faring worse. One way, of course, to address this is asking probationary teachers to opt into the preference waiver scheme. But against such precarity, there's been a reduction in people opting in to do that, exacerbating gaps in geographical provision and undermining equality. Teaching is an incredible profession to enter into. The opportunities to shape lives are numerous. We should cherish and value it. The recruitment and retention crisis is a product bigger than salary and wages. It is about the conditions in the room. The lack of support for pupils with ASN, the violence and poor behaviour we see, the prevalence of declining standards and disengagement weighs heavy on teachers. All of this needs addressed. The solutions can't be simply, as the Government has previously suggested, teach teachers how to be better. Teachers are already excellent, and I know the Cabinet Secretary believes that. But they're too often going it alone. The number of teachers who are specially qualified and equipped to handle complex needs has dwindled, falling by over 700 over the last decade. Where additional support staff do exist, they're scarce and spread thin. And a figure that is masked by poor monitoring and reporting and conflated definition of what remit different support staff have. The Stand Up for Quality Education campaign rightly emphasises the need for strategies to tackle these issues head-on. Presiding Officer, the Scottish Government's International Council of Education Advisers are right. We must recognise the time for commissioning reviews is over, the time for action is now. The motion before us today calls for, as a start, the Government to do what it promised, set out a clear timetable to deliver not just review recommendations, which we continue to wait for, but on non-contact time, ASN support and free breakfasts. In short, Presiding Officer, this motion is a call to action, a rallying cry for a concerted effort to deliver high and rising standards of education in Scotland. Classrooms where everyone is safe, feels safe, and where all pupils, regardless of their backgrounds, can learn. The challenges are formidable, but so too is our resolve. Let us set aside political differences, unite in the pursuit of a brighter future for our children. The time for reviews is over. The time for action is now. Thank you.